Good evening, folks. We're coming at you from beautiful downtown University Avenue, and today's special guest is Ernie, who is recently, you might say, recently separated, and hopefully soon divorced to be a free man once again. But his freedom came at a price.
A very costly one, yeah.
Yes, and we won't get into all those details because you can see them in the previous video. But Ernie, he's been curious about dating apps, right? So you have tried some apps.
Yeah, that's why I met my separated wife on a backcouch.
But now, at least now you're going to stick to ones in the Toronto area. Right?
Oh yes, this summer, Jack, mingling and socializing.
Okay. Because I got to tell you, Ernie, and everyone listening out there, that if you are a male, your chances of success via dating apps are negligible. There have been a lot of studies done, and generally speaking, across all of the apps, I won't name them, but you know which the top three or four are. Men receive 0 to 4 matches per week.
Wow, it's a telling stat, Jack.
While women receive 100 to 1,000 per week.
Oh my God, a bit skewed the stats.
As I said, prioritize your mingling ability and your gift to the gab and go out there and mingle in social settings.
I got a good conversationalist, so I will.
Most apps are generally 70 to 80% men. So for a man to stand out from the crowd, he's got to be like a superstar in his field, basically.
A rock star.
Right. For everybody else, they're just wasting their time. Also, women have a 50% chance of meeting the man of their dreams, whereas men only have a 2.4% chance.
That is a big drop off. Wow.
Now, some of you might ask, well, wait a minute, if women are meeting 50% chance for women, where are these 50% guys coming from? Well, I'll tell you, I'm sure some of you are mathematicians out there, and maybe you figure this one out. But according to my math, my knowledge of fractions, 50% of the women are getting laid, and only 2.5% of the men are. That means that there's a guy out there who's doing 20 women.
Wow.
Right? That's how it works mathematically.
Sense.
So if you're a woman and you think you've met the man of your dreams, well, you probably met the liar of his schemes.
That makes sense.
Men are less selective, and yet they still can't meet it. Men are less selective. It's one of the secrets that women are not aware of, but ladies, men are only interested in one thing. Right? They're not even interested in how tall you are, how old you are, how little or how much you weigh. They're interested in one thing.
Exactly.
So they're very less selective.
Do you see it's changed a lot, Jack, over the years?
Well, that's a very good question. During my time, these things did not exist. We just went out and we met the opposite sex in public, and people talked to one another, but this, of course, is way before the internet. In fact, it is way before cell phones even existed. I mean, the only person that had a cell phone was Batman and Robin, and the Green Hornet, which were television series of yesteryear. So
we still statistically don't know how they fared in dating.
Another study of April 8th, 2025 states that 95% of men get 0 matches.
Oh, wow.
That's 95%.
That's very telling. Is this globally or no?
This is in North America.
Oh, wow.
United States, and these are American studies, but whatever happens in America usually happens in Canada a few days later.
Yeah.
As they say, when the elephant catches a cold, the mouse, being Canada, catches pneumonia.
That's a good one.
That was Pierre Trudeau, Justin's father. So every study indicates that the number of men is just astronomically high.
Have a better chance of winning the lottery than going in those dating apps.
Well, actually you do. So if you're spending money to be on dating apps, you're just throwing a lot of money away, right, by doing that.
Might as well just do a lottery ticket in England.
Come back.
Oh, yes.
Take that, please.
Oh, this beautiful chair. Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
My pleasure.
So that's basically, it's not the way to go early.
That's true. Yeah.
They are essentially setting men up for failure.
Yeah, that would make sense. And
Yeah,
it's
well-
amazing, Jack, the deception that she used, where she was all nice on the dating app.
Oh, this is from, yeah, you're speaking of your own personal experience.
Yes, nightmare I went through. And so then when she came here, she ignored me and stayed out of the welling all day. Yeah.
Well, you know, the first question to ask whenever you meet someone of the opposite sex is, it's a crass question, but the question really is, what are you looking for out of this relationship?
That's a great point.
And if their answer is, I'm looking for love, run away.
Great point. Because you won't find it, trust me, I know firsthand. You look for that, it'll just blow up in the face.
Now, Ernie, listen to this. An engineer working for Hinge. I said I wasn't going to mention any apps, but I may as well mention it because Hinge is in the public domain now because it's being sued in the United
Oh,
Kingdom.
wow, I didn't know.
There's a major lawsuit
God.
against Hinge. An engineer working at Hinge said that 50% of likes went to women, to the top 25% of women. Now, what do they mean by that? Top 25% of women, I'm assuming it means young and beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's not really great for women either, to be realistically speaking, right?
Exactly. What do you see now with the advent of AI, Jack, that it's going to be more tricky, these dating apps, where they put up a fake image?
Well, there are already, very good question, there are so many fake images. I can tell you that there are women that, if you were to see them in person, they look nothing at all like their video or their photographs. So what I've been told is that there are apps which can make a person look taller, make a person look slimmer.
Wow.
They want to have really long legs. They can do it. They can be 5'1" and look like they're 5'11".
That's amazing, my God.
So they can narrow their build and they can elongate it.
So it's like a special effects shop. It's like a
Yeah, there are
Hollywood.
many apps that do this now. So
And this was never around when I went on that dating site, Jack.
no, that wasn't
2012.
going on. Those were just, I believe, plain photographs.
Yeah, imagine 14 years ago.
Yeah.
God.
Well, it's getting more creative every day.
I won't say my age, but it took a lot of years off my, if you will, dating, wasting 14 years with the character that I was married to. How old are you, Jack?
14-year investment online, right? And interestingly, and let this be a lesson to all you guys out there, the judge in court actually told us that as far as she was concerned, an online relationship equals an in-person one.
Yes, I remember that.
So the relationship was not a 4-month relationship, it was basically an 11-year or 4-month or more.
Yeah. And I was floored when I heard that.
And in fact, in one of the Midwest states, a man who was corresponding with other women on dating apps, a married man, was sued for divorce by his wife when she caught him behind a computer.
Really? Wow.
And since this state was a fault state, which means that if you commit adultery, you're going to pay handsomely, financially, he was found guilty of adultery. But he had never met the woman in person.
And still they hit him up for the
Yes,
adultery.
the judgment in court was that he was an adulterer.
And Jack, she got off scot-free? Or?
No, the wife ended up getting about 70% of everything he owned.
Is this recently?
About 5 years ago.
My
So
God.
he was, it's the intent. The court looked at his intent. His intent was to sever the marriage relationship by his actions.
Jack, based on just that, for our viewers or perspective, would you say that it's now way more, say, in North America in favor of the women when it comes to familial or child custody matters, or for our viewers?
Well, when it comes to custody, yes. The mother will always get custody unless she is overly promiscuous or an alcoholic or a drug addict or a kleptomaniac or a criminal, for example.
Jack, when would you say this changed, this law, when it went from in favor of, say, the men to the
Well,
women?
it gradually changed from 1986
Wow.
when a new family law act was written.
In Canada or Canada in the States?
Canada.
Wow.
So,
Let that sink in, viewers.
getting back to the apps, they're not a solution to the problems that you faced, right?
Yeah. In fact, they were the creation of all the problems.
Now,
So sometimes it's better without technology.
another study comparing Hinge to Tinder states that on Hinge, men will you're fortunate to get one match out of 40. So
Oh
every
my
time you
gosh.
respond to 40 women, you're lucky if one writes back to you. And since half of the women at least are robots, or fake profiles,
Yeah.
and those are extremely terrible odds.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have scammers that are catfishing, which I won't define, but everybody seems to know what that means, right? They're fooling you. They want to have a relationship with you, but they really want to get your credit card, bank account, and clean you out.
That's
And
neat.
sometimes even without meeting you in person.
I've seen some of those characters before. I quickly, what's the word?
So-
Swipe left on the app
Swipe
to get
left.
rid of them. Yeah, true stories.
They say you can't judge a book by its cover, but I think that saying has to be revisited
Very good
because
point.
quite often you can. If it looks like a duck, walks like one, talks like one, it's a duck. It's not a racehorse.
Exactly. Sorry. It can fly pretty well.
And some questions of interest. Are you on a dating app?
Was, yeah.
If so, you're screwed.
Oh, God, I was.
And not in the way that you hope.
Exactly. Read my mind. Jack knows what I
The
mean.
apps are structurally flawed, and that's bringing about a massive inequity, which is messing things up for everyone. To understand it, we need to briefly refresh our knowledge of Economics 101. Right? Put 100 people in the desert for 2 days and have them bid for a single bottle of water.
Oh,
And that water bottle is now worth $1 million.
wow. That is a...
So that woman you're writing to is worth $1 million, and she knows it. She
Oh.
is everything. You're a nobody.
Jack, one thing if I may interject, she actually, my separated wife, said that she wanted to be a millionaire by the time she was 40. She said when she came here, she would work, and she didn't even work. She sat on her rear all day and jogged and all that.
I mean, I know how you would have been a millionaire by the time you're 40, staying married to her. If you started off with $50 million, there might be $1 million left for you by the time you're 40.
Pretty sad stats, but true, yeah?
But the more people want something, and the less of that thing that there is, the more its value rises. So the apps are really economics in practice. Another app, Bumble. Now, Bumble is where women make the move. You basically respond to them. You cannot communicate with them.
Really?
They communicate with you after you say hello, but they have all the info on you. You've got virtually nothing
I have
on them.
never heard of that. Oh
So
my God.
well, Bumble is very well known. It's 67.4% are male users.
What does it have, a companion app? Me? Bumble E?
Not that I know of. So Bumble is 67% male. Why? Because a lot of men are not going to go on an app where they cannot initiate contact.
That
You're,
makes
you're,
sense.
you're suddenly being emasculated.
Yeah, that's what I was. I wanted the
Right.
communication on the app.
For Tinder, it's 76% male. Of course, not everyone is heterosexual, so they haven't figured that out yet. mean, that's another issue also. You could be writing to, if you're not careful, you could be writing to people that go both ways.
So,
Or
Jack,
you could be writing to transsexuals.
so Jack, you're saying that when I was on that app back in 2012, it could have been a person pretending to be a female, but it could have been like a god.
Exactly.
Wow. As they say, the internet is like a shark-infested ocean.
Well, it is. So what's the solution, right? And I think the solution is going to be another topic, because I think we're running out of time for today, Ernie. But I mean, I keep telling people that the solution is to get out there, socialize, find what you enjoy doing, pursue your hobbies, pursue your vocations. If you like going to the theater, go and see plays. You're bound to run into a member of the opposite sex there, and you've got something in common with them.
And Jack, it's healthy because it's in person, face to face.
Exactly.
And the old-fashioned way instead of
But,
this computerized.
You know,
AI way.
we've been trying to find solutions for Ernie, but I mean, the good thing is, Ernie, you got off lightly, and you have a life ahead of yourself. You're a very young man.
Absolutely.
You're financially solvent. Your ex is not coming after you for any support for herself, but for her child, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't want you to see the child, and for you to see the child would probably end up totaling $100,000 in legal fees
Wow.
in a 2-year legal battle.
And there'd be no guarantees, Jack, on that, right?
Well, I think that for $100,000, money talks.
That's a good point, yeah.
Basically, the way family law works is you wear the other side down. That's all.
Uh-huh,
You
so
just
they-
wear them down.
So they can't take it no more.
And usually the person with more money has the power in our society to wear down the person with less money.
So that would give me the leverage, but I'll pass on that.
But anyway, that's our video for today on primarily dating apps. If you think they're a solution, they're not. If you sign up for one, do not give them your hard-earned cash. It's not worth it. Have a great day. Thank you, Ernie, for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jack. Beautiful.